Michael here, and in this video journal I'll be fretting the fingerboards that I'm going to be using in my Ambrosia Maple builds. I'll talk a little bit about the history of frets, the types of frets, and why I've chosen the frets that I'm going to be using on these fingerboards. Keep watching. While not known for sure, the name fret may have been derived from an old Middle English term fretten, which means to bind or fasten a tie or a lace, or the old French term frette, which means ring or ferrule. It's not known when frets were first used, but an early example from about the 3rd century was discovered in 1907 in China, a broken lute's neck with 2 gut frets intact. The neck now resides in the British Museum in London. Early evidence for instruments having frets come from illustrations. Buddhist art from the 6th to the 10th century found in the Mogao caves in China depict instruments that appear to have frets. The 9th century French illustrated manuscript, the Urtext Psalter, circa 850, depicts some long-necked lutes that also appear to have frets. The sitar, a small flat-backed lute commonly used from 1200 to 1350 CE, appears to have had frets as well. An illustration from the Spanish manuscript Canticas de Santa Maria, circa 1280, shows an angel playing a fretted sitar. The earliest lutes were fretless, but by the late 16th century they began being fretted. These early frets were actually made out of gut tied around the neck, with a knot placed at the top edge of the fingerboard. The early tied-on gut frets were replaced by ivory or metal in the 18th century, when gut strings that were overwrapped with metal became available. Bar frets were the first metal frets. They were square on the bottom with a flat but radius top that matched the curvature of the fingerboard. The crown as we know it today had not been invented yet. Prior to the early 1920s, all guitars came with bar frets. Early Martin guitars had bar frets which were made out of a simple straight length of nickel silver with a rectangular cross-section. The top was rounded to create a slight curvature to soften the sharp right angles, while the side facing the fretboard was nicked slightly to create small burrs that helped to keep the fret in place. It wasn't until mid-1934 that Martin guitars switched from bar frets to T-frets, the same time as they introduced the steel reinforcement rod, also in a T-shape. On July 18, 1893, J.F. Stratton was granted a patent for a T-shaped fret. Stratton's fret is the earliest recorded T-shaped fret that I can find. It had a top that resembled today's fret, but without the crown. 36 years later, in 1929, Clinton F. Smith patented a T-fret with the crowned atop. This is the crown-shaped fret wire that we know today. Tangs or barbs help keep these frets seated properly in the fret slot, and Smith's crowned concept gave the player a much more playable surface, and the rounded shape helped to improve intonation. Well, today there are an abundance of fret wire sizes and types to choose from. Jezcar has over 30 sizes available in their 18% nickel silver, stainless steel, and their EVO gold. The Japanese company Senko has over 8 sizes available, ranging from small to jumbo. Dunlop offers their fret wire in over 26 different sizes. J.T. Thompson manufactures a bar fret wire in 16 different gauges. This is the fret wire that Martin used up until mid-1934 when they switched to T-fret wire. Fret wire comes in brass, nickel silver, stainless steel, and EVO gold. Brass, an alloy of copper and zinc, is the softest of all fret wire. Not commonly used today, but can be found on imported low-end instruments. Because brass tarnishes when exposed to oxygen, the frets and fingerboards are often lacquered over. Despite the name, nickel silver contains no silver. Typically made of 18% nickel and 80% copper, it's the most widely used fret wire today and can be found in a variety of shapes and sizes. It's the nickel content that gives the silvery color. Stainless steel, an alloy containing nickel, chromium, sulfur, magnesium, silicon, and carbon, is the hardest of all fret wire. They can last forever, but they're very hard on luthiers' tools and they tend to wear them quickly. EVO Gold is the newest fret wire, made from copper, tin, iron, and titanium. This nickel-free hypoallergenic alloy was originally devised to make eyeglass frames. It's harder than nickel wire, but softer than stainless steel. Now, in most of my previous guitar builds, I've used the same fret wire over and over again, and that's the same fret wire that's on this instrument here. In an effort to perhaps make the guitar a little more playable, I've decided to go to a different fret wire. And one of the reasons is maybe making bar chords would be a little bit easier if I had a little taller fret. This is the previous fret wire that I've been using on most all of my builds. It's 39 thousandths of an inch tall and 84 thousandths of an inch wide. I have chosen a taller fret wire to use on these two builds to see if I can improve the playability of the guitars. So the fret wire I've chosen to use is this one. It's 50 thousandths of an inch tall and 85 thousandths of an inch wide. Superimposed together, you can see that it's 11 thousandths of an inch taller and only 1 thousandth of an inch wider. So we'll see how this works out. Well, it's time to start fretting my fingerboards. The fingerboards have all been inlaid and the fret slots are cut in the fingerboard's radius, so it's just time to put the frets in. You can buy fret wire in a couple of different ways. If you're going to only do one or two guitars, you can just buy in pre-cut pieces like this. You can buy it in 2-foot lengths, which can come in these tubes like this. Or you can buy it in a bulk by the pound, and it comes in rolls like that. But the first thing I want to do is go ahead and clean the fret wire. So just got a little clean polishing cloth type thing here. I'm going to put some solvent on it and just see how much oils and production greases are on these wires. Okay, got those fret wires clean. Now we can look at the rag and see how much we actually got off of there. So there we go. Well, before I cut the frets and install them in the fingerboard, I want to put an arch into them, a radius that's very similar, actually a little tighter than the radius of the fingerboard. So I've cleaned all my fret wire up, and I'm just going to go ahead and put it through my little bender, which I've preset to the appropriate radius. There we go. Okay, have my fret wire arched to the same radius, or certainly a slightly tighter radius than my fingerboard is, and I'm going to go ahead and start cutting them to length. I'm doing 2 fingerboards, so I'm going to need 2 sets of each. So I'm going to just simply mark the length of the first one, which I've already marked right there. And I cut the tang and then just bend it off. That way I don't have such a sharp edge there. Put that in my number 1 slot. And just continue my process. Okay, I'm ready to start installing the frets. And I just want to go ahead and make sure that there's nothing left in these fret slots, any sawdust or foreign objects, because they've been sitting on the bench for a little while. So I'm just going to go ahead and clean them out. I have 2 fret spaces that I have taped off. That's number 1 and number 10. I'm going to use those 2 particular fret slots to pin the fingerboard to the neck blank when I glue it on, and then I will install those 2 frets afterwards. I've simply got them taped off so that I don't forget. I do use a little bit of glue. Fret 2 right here. Put a little bit of glue down into that fret slot. Okay, with the frets glued in, I'm going to put it on a radius. This is a radius beam that's the same as a fingerboard. I'll leave both of those clamped, actually for a few days. Well, it's been a day or so since I've clamped the fingerboards. It's time to go ahead and take them apart from the clamping. Okay, nice and flat. Okay, my fingerboard's ready for the next step. And I'm going to take it over and trim the little fret ends on either side. And to do that, I just have a couple of boards that are fingerboard shaped. And I'm going to take the fingerboard and place it between my boards and line everything flush up on the side that I'm going to work on. And I'm going to take it over and put it in my vise so I can file those down. Okay, I've got my fingerboard mounted between my two sacrificial boards in my vise, and I'm just going to take a little flat block and make sure that it's flush all the way across the three items that are clamped together here. I'm going to take a file and just file those frets down flush. I'm pushing in towards the fret slot, so I'm actually pushing the fret into the slot rather than pulling it out with the motion of the file. Okay, I filed both sides of the frets level. And there's just a little bit overhang here. So I'll just take my file and go along the sides. Okay, there we go. Well, now that I have my fingerboard fretted and the frets filed smooth to the edge, I want to go ahead and take a minute and go ahead and fill in the little bitty gaps that exist between the bottom of the fret tang and the fret slot there. And just give a nicer look to the guitar when it's finished. To do that, I'm going to use a 2-part epoxy and some ebony dust. And I've just got a little cut off from the end of a string. I'll keep them after I restring my guitars. Then you make nice little probes. And just going to put a little bit on each one of these ends. Again. Well, my epoxy has dried on the fingerboards where I have filled in the little gap between the bottom of the tang and the fret slot that was there. So I've got to sand all this off right now. So I've got my little right angle sanding jig and a piece of sandpaper on my workbench. I'm just going to sand those down. Okay, so here's the two fingerboards and they're ready for the next step. I've gotten them all sanded down, fretted, and they're ready to go. One last thing. And our next step is going to be gluing these fingerboards to the neck blanks. To do that, I've got to mount the neck on the body and make sure that my center line matches all the way down. So that's next. Well, that concludes this video journal on frets. The fingerboards are fretted, they're ready to glue to the neck blanks and start carving the necks. That'll be the next video journal. If you'd like to get a free download for the notes that I used to put this video journal together, there's a link down below. It's free, or you can type in an amount to help support the channel. Thank you so much for watching.